What's up, guys? I just want to give you guys a 2.5-year update on this zero compromise scope. I bought it back on September of 2020 and I've been using pretty much the same scope for the past 2.5 years, minus the time that I changed the scope for a few months and then I ended up going back to the scope. But anyways, I just wanted to give you guys a 2.5-year update and let's do it. So I've had this zero compromise scope for about 2.5 years. Like I said, I got it back in September of 2020 and it's been the best scope I've ever owned, and good glass, and I've shot about 30 matches with it, both rimfire and centerfire, including one 2-day centerfire match in Navasota, the Best in Texas match last year in April. And I've also been able to win various matches with it, and this scope has been definitely helpful in winning those matches for sure. And I've also been able to do a hike and shoot type of match with it called the Squirrel Safari in Huntsville, where we hiked for a mile or so, and I was chugging this thing along for a mile, and I had zero issues with it while I was hiking with it for a mile. No zero issues or tracking issues, and it's been phenomenal. I can only afford one of these things since they're so expensive, so I usually switch them around my centerfire rifle and my rimfire rifles. So I'm usually like a one scope type of guy that I switch it between different rifles because these things are so expensive. I know some of you guys can afford more than one of these, but for me, I just wanted to get one. I've shot it in 15-degree weather up to 100-degree weathers here in Texas. There was one time in Oklahoma, it was like 15 degrees, January of last year, a year ago, and this thing didn't have any issues with the cold weather. And there was a brief period of time here in Texas, I think we had like a 100-day of drought, 100-degree weathers every day, and I was able to shoot it in those matches and zero issues on both extremes. Of course, I've never been to Siberia with it where it's like negative weather, but I know some guys have shot it in negative degree weathers, Fahrenheit weathers, and they've had zero issues with it. But this thing performs in all types of weather. Rain, I had zero issues with fogging with it during the rain, and during the summer when it was humid, like the glass was easy to look through. So one of my favorite things about this scope is I have zero issues with it mechanically. It keeps it zero. I usually like to zero my rifle and not touch it for months, and I've been able to do that with this scope. I also have the Spuhr QDP Mount to go along with it, so that helps with having a repeatable zero. And again, if you're gonna buy a scope, make sure you get a good mount, because your scope is only going to be as good as the mount that you put on it. If you put a cheap mount on it, then you might have issues. So if you're going to buy a scope this expensive, you might as well go all out on the mount. I know there's different manufacturers besides Spuhr that make good mounts for it, but I recommend Spuhr. That's what I've been using for the past few years. The scope tracks perfectly. I've had zero issues with it tracking, especially with the rimfire matches that we shoot. The distances that we shoot sometimes are 300, 400 yards, so you're dialing a lot of elevation for those type of matches. So this past summer, this past June, I dropped my rifle while switching from stage to stage. I usually keep my rifle in the cart, and I forgot to put the retainer that it dropped basically on the scope, and as you guys can see from the picture, my ocular ring ended up bending, and I didn't find out about it till later because I usually have the Tenebrex caps on it, so when I took it off later, I found out that it was bent, and I ended up using it for many matches after that, and zero issues again with anything mechanic, even though the diopter ring was bent. Like, it didn't seem to affect any tracking or any issues with the glass. Like, the glass was still clear. So I wanted to wait to get it fixed until the season was over. So I contacted Nick about a month ago in December, and I asked him if they could basically fix the diopter ring, and I asked him how much it would cost, and on top of that, I was able to have them do the non-locking turret on the elevation so that I don't have to lift it anymore. It's just basically, it doesn't lock anymore. Non-locking elevation turret upgrade cost $150, but they ended up covering the diopter ring. I think that was probably part of the warranty. They asked them to give me a quote on it, but they ended up not calling me to ask to give me a quote. They ended up just fixing it, probably because it's part of the warranty. And even though I didn't try to do it intentionally, obviously. So like, they just shows you the awesome customer service that the scope company has, and it's made in the USA and Austria. Basically, the people that work there, they understand the market. They also shoot matches, so they know what the shooters want. I set my scope in for them to do the NLE or non-locking elevation turret. You know, as soon as I sent it to them, whenever they received it, the check was cashed the same day, and I think they ended up doing the upgrade that same day and shipping it off the same day. So they're very quick as far as turnaround, even during the holidays. Like, I was surprised. I thought it was gonna take maybe a few weeks to maybe a month or two to get it shipped back to me, but they did it that same day, even during the holidays. As busy as the season is, during the holidays, they were able to ship it back to me very quick. So that's just a testament to their customer service again. And it looks like they installed a new ocular lens on it. I mean, that's a bad, you can't really see it that well, but I used to have a scratch around here. It looks like when they replaced the diopter ring, they also installed a new lens on it. There was nothing wrong with the previous lens. Maybe this was the same lens and they just buffed it out, but it looks like, to me, it looks brand new. And they did a whole tune-up and everything on it. Check the tracking, and as you can see, they have it's passed inspection on December 23rd, 2022. I mean, this already had passed inspection before they shipped it to me brand new, and then when I sent it back to them a few weeks ago, they did just a whole tracking test and just refurbishing it basically for me. So it basically looks brand new again, and they cleaned the lens and all the dirt that was in the scope. So again, the non-locking elevation turret, basically, before I had to lift this to unlock it and twist it around, but now it doesn't lock anymore and I can just twist it. That's just my own preference. I like it that way versus the locking elevation. The windage still has the locking mechanism to it, so you have to pull it to twist it. But now the elevation, I don't have to worry about pulling it up. I can just twist it, and I've never had any issues with it, even when it was unlocked during a stage and me bumping it or whatever. Like, a lot of shooters sometimes have, or some shooters have issues with the elevation getting bumped and then twisting, but I've never personally encountered that issue because sometimes I leave this unlocked during stages when it had the locking mechanism installed on it. Also, just a little tip, these white marks and it will end up getting dirty on you, especially if you shoot it a lot. So I recommend getting alcohol wipes just to wipe them, to keep them clean. And other than that, the scope is fantastic. The price has gone up on it, and that's just because everything has gone up. It's a lot harder to get materials than it used to be. Like, the price has gone up with these scopes, but you're getting what you pay for, every penny. I would trust the scope with my life if it ever depended on it. This scope has been amazing, and that's my 2.5-year update for you guys.